The lesson plan assignment is the culminating assignment for the course, and it is a 2-hour lesson plan, meaning that I want the lesson plan to be created in such a way that it would be a 2-hour block of time. Now, some people break it into two 50-minute sections with a 10-minute break, and that works well. And so what it would do is it would incorporate all 4 aspects that we have discussed in the videos. You need to have some type of review. There needs to be an activation of prior learning. Then there needs to be some type of instruction or integrated way to help the students understand what the goals and objectives and plan of your lesson would be. Then you need to have specific activities. And yes, I have stipulated that it needs to be in a communicative environment, meaning that it's a student-centered lesson plan. There would be little time that you would actually be doing any instruction. And I want you to create the lesson plan with the understanding that the students understand how to do all of the activities, that you have already instructed them on what a Harkness discussion is, what a panel discussion is, so there wouldn't be any time frame necessary to instruct them on how to do this particular type of activity. I'm going to assume that the students have already done this, because it's not going to be your first lesson that you've ever taught in this specific class. I want it to be, maybe think about it in terms of you've been in class maybe for 2 or 3 weeks to a month, and so the students know each other, they know you, and that'll make it a little bit easier as you create the lesson plan. And then of course there needs to be some type of closure in the lesson plan. So that could be the 4-part outline. However, there are other ideas that Ferris and Hedgecock have given you in their in the reading that you've done from their composition and intensive reading plan. So feel free to incorporate any of those ideas and any of their type of template for their lesson plans, because I've provided you with several of those. So it doesn't have to be exactly in the 4 parts that I've given you, because there are other ways to integrate that in those 4 components. They don't necessarily have to be called that, because you can look at other lesson plans and see it. You can go online and look up lesson plan templates for whatever age group that you want to work with, but what I don't want you to do is to copy one, because there are already ready-made plans out there. So I want this to be an authentic one that you have created yourself. Of course you can use ideas from other lesson plans, but make sure that you cite those, and so that I can go and look at how you've incorporated it. So if you find anything on the internet and you apply it to your own learning, just put a works cited page down there, because even when I create a lesson plan, you'll notice, and I've linked a curriculum that I created through the grant from Worldview, and it's on East Asia, and at the end of it there are all kinds of resources that I have used. And so even in the lesson plans that I create, because there are many different sources out there that are important and that are essential, I would even say, because someone else has already created it, and that's fine as long as you cite it, and as long as it's not like you just go and find a lesson plan and say, this is my lesson plan. Incorporate different ideas, but still create one that's authentically your own. And then you've got to come up with, what subject are you going to be teaching? Are you just teaching English for the sake of English? Are you teaching English in a foreign setting? Are you thinking of like a grammar class? How are you going to teach that? Because I know in a foreign setting they may indeed have a grammar class. So you're going to have to still incorporate the concept of reading, writing, and vocabulary alongside that grammar component. And so think about the readings that we've done, but there are also sources on the internet that if you didn't feel like that was comprehensive enough, that you can yourself research it. But I want all 4 components within that lesson plan, that they include reading, they include some writing, they include listening and speaking. Now, within the class, it's easy to do a short writing assignment. It's easy to do a short reading assignment. That doesn't necessarily mean that they have to happen within the class. They just have to be contained in your lesson plan. So possibly the homework for the night before was to read something, which you need to indicate that on your lesson plan. The students would have read, the students would have completed for homework the following. In the class before, we have talked about, because I need to know, that would be like your introduction of the lesson plan. I need to know where you think you've been or where you imagine that you've been, and then the 2-hour lesson plan, this is where we are right now. And the reading gives you guidelines for writing objectives, for writing goals, for writing a plan, and then even some ideas for activities. And then in the video lesson, I've also given you some ideas for different activities that you can incorporate. Now, the listening speaking component obviously does need to take place within the classroom through one or more or several of the activities. So if you're looking at a 2-hour class period with the idea that it's 2 50-minute segments, you're going to have 10 minutes of maybe review in that long period of class, 5 minutes of goals and objectives, and then several activities. Maybe do 2 activities before you do a break, then you come back and you have time to do 3 more activities, and then you have 10 minutes for closure and review. That's just a general way, an overview of how you could create the lesson plan. It doesn't have to be exactly like that, but that is a guideline anyway. And I'm trying to think if there was something else that you could incorporate or project some questions that you might have about the lesson plan itself. But in the forum, that is the place where you can start your plan. I want to see where what you're thinking about before it gets Monday, so that I see that you're on the right track. And then you can post the questions and to that forum, and then I will answer the questions for you. But I want you as the students to answer each other's questions to the best of your knowledge before I come in and interject my own thoughts and answers to the questions that you post. So I will wait. You'll post yours by the deadline that's posted on Moodle, and then you have a deadline for answering and responding to your classmates. And so after that second deadline is passed, then I will come on and I will start answering questions and giving you some feedback about your ideas and where you think you're going to go with the lesson plans. And as always, you can email me with specific questions that you don't feel that were answered in the text or through the videos.